Hi, my name is Adam, and today I'm going to be presenting about factors that contribute to passenger traffic at airports. There are three factors I want to discuss today that airport traffic. They are connectivity and the number of destinations served, demand, either through tourism or business travel, and competition from neighboring airports, which reduces passenger traffic. The purpose here is to prove the correlation between connectivity, demand, and competition, with a focus on the five busiest airports to discuss the data. The methodology I employ here is to identify the top five busiest airports, use scatter plots to illustrate correlation, network graphs to visualize connectivity, and then a comparison to demonstrate the effects of competition. The data sets I used were drawn from Kaggle. There are references on the bottom of each slide if you're curious. The tools I used to put this together were Python and Microsoft Excel. Let's start with the world's five busiest airports. The airports that serve the most passengers are Atlanta, Beijing, Dubai, Los Angeles, and Tokyo. The first variable I want to look at is how GDP relates to passenger traffic. Higher GDP means that more money is available for business and leisure travel. What we can see is that there is a correlation between these two variables. And what's interesting when you plot it is that you see it actually breaks out airports by country. And countries with the highest GDP have a very large share in the number of airports that are recorded in the top 50. The United States has 17 airports in the top 50. China has 7 in the top 50. What we can see is that Dubai doesn't really fit this pattern. It's got much lower GDP, but serves an incredible number of passengers. I think this can be explained by the fact that Dubai is notorious for its luxury, so it would be a tourism destination. And then it's also the headquarters of Emirates, which is a global airline carrier. The next variable I want to look at is how connectivity relates to passenger traffic. Connectivity is defined by the number of destinations that's served from an airport. What we can see is that there is a very strong correlation between connectivity and passenger traffic, as many of these large airports serve as hubs to get to smaller regional airports. An airport that doesn't really fit this is Tokyo's Haneda Airport, which has the fifth highest traffic but very low connectivity. I think this is explained by the fact that Tokyo is the largest city in the world with 39 million people, and that Japan also has the third highest GDP, which is a strongly correlated variable. It's really interesting to look at connectivity in terms of where you can fly geographically from these five airports. So what I've done here is I've plotted a network graph with the latitude and longitude coordinates of the destination airports. What we can see is that you can really get pretty much anywhere from these five airports. The next thing I wanted to do was throw this over a map to really visualize geographically where you could fly. What you can see is you can get pretty much anywhere in the world from these airports. The final thing I wanted to look at is competition. The best way to do this is to look at two airports that are close together. So we have Haneda and Narita in Tokyo. These are ranked number 5 and number 48 in the top 50 data set. They serve a combined passenger amount of over 110 million passengers and share a lot of connections. So if these airports were not stealing passenger share from each other, they would absolutely be the busiest airport in the world. They're about 80 kilometers apart, which is a 1 hour drive. So in conclusion, we see that passenger traffic is correlated to GDP, so much so that countries with a high GDP make up a large portion of the top 50 airports. We also see that passenger traffic is correlated to connectivity. You can book flights pretty much anywhere in the world from the top 5 listed airports. What's also interesting from the geographic projection is that we see that airports are concentrated mostly in the northern hemisphere. The final thing we looked at was competition from nearby airports with Haneda and Narita, and that we see that competition really reduces the number of passengers an airport serves regardless of GDP and connectivity. Thank you for your time. These are my references.